So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a movie that I've been waiting quite a while to talk to. Live Free or Die Hard. So if you see Live Free or Die Hard as the poster in the background, that is why this movie is probably one of my favorite of the Die Hard franchise. And I think this movie is really underrated. And I think people hate this movie only because of the fact that this is PG-13 and not rated R, which honestly the past couple of Die Hard movies have always been rated R, which I don't know why they changed it. But still, this is a solid action movie, and I think they're trying to legitimately get butts in seats, and they wanted this to be, a groundbreaking action movie, which this movie definitely is. It's got some amazing sequences that I think have inspired video games such as Uncharted and a variety of different other video games over the past couple years. Pretty much Uncharted being like Die Hard mixed with, Indiana Jones, which is our favorite movie of mine. So what is this movie about? This movie stars Bruce Willis as John McClane, once again reprising his role from the other Die Hard films. Timothy Olyphant as one of the main bad guys in the film. Thomas Gabriel. Also Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Lucy McClane, as well as Justin Long. This movie is pretty much about John McClane. He starts off, at his daughter's college. He's pretty much spying on her, which she doesn't really take kindly to. Bruce Willis doing this because he feels it necessary to kind of watch over his daughter, kind of keep an eye on what she's doing with other guys that are in her life. Bruce Willis is kind of that overbearing father character who doesn't really like the people that she's dating. Lucy McClane is the daughter of John McClane, and she's basically this tough as nails, pretty much the same exact person that John McClane is, only a female version of her. She's stubborn. She doesn't really like talking with her family anymore because of what happened with the divorce and everything between John McClane and Holly McClane. And so eventually John McClane gets called in by one of his subordinates, and they tell him that he needs to escort a kid to a different part of the country because apparently there's cyber warfare attack going on within the country, and John McClane needs to take this kid into custody so that they don't get him next. Pretty much the other people that were involved in this project, in which got axed by their computers or various methods that the terrorists to deal with the situation. Timothy Olyphant, he really hates the government because he got kicked out of a project that was dealing with cybersecurity, and he warned everybody pretty much that a major cyber threat was on the way, and that if they didn't do anything it was going to be pretty bad. So he takes matters into his own hands, and this leads John McClane to fight him in various different action sequences, which are spectacular. There's a sequence where in the beginning of the film John McClane is going after Justin Long's character in his apartment. He's kind of looking around the room and all the different variety of TV and movie memorabilia that's kind of stored on the shelves and everything. All hell starts breaking loose. They start shooting up Justin Long's apartment, destroying all of his TVs, destroying all the stuff that he has. One of the Terminator statues that he has falls off his desk and hits his computer, which causes an explosion. This leads to an all-out fight within Justin Long's apartment, and one of these insane parkour guys, I forget the name of the actor who's done that, but he's done things for like Assassin's Creed and other parkour type movies, and he leaps across from one building complex to the other, which he lives next to another building complex, and the guy goes in there and assaults Justin Long, trying to get him. This leads to the attack on the freeway, where you see the F-35 jet as John McClane's chasing after Lucy, who's just been captured by Timothy Olyphant's character. John McClane manages to get on the freeway bridge, and apparently the F-35 jet is there with him and attacks the bridge, shooting part of the bridge off, causing a chain reaction where the semi-truck comes barreling back towards the edge of the bridge that's just broken off. John McClane tumbles down the side of the semi-truck and then leaps onto the F-35 jet. The pilot ejects, which then leads to John McClane leaping off the jet as it's crashing into the side of the bridge, which leads to a fire explosion in John McClane fashion. There's also a huge fight sequence that takes place within an elevator shaft. Pretty much they're trying to get information to see what the other terrorists are doing, and so Lucy Liu is sent in there to stop them from retrieving this data. This leads to an insane fight sequence in an elevator shaft where Bruce Willis steals a vehicle, crashes through the building, and starts taking out computers and stuff, and slams into Lucy Liu's character, who she's holding a gun to Justin Long's character because she's trying to stop him from, inserting a virus to Timothy Olyphant's character. This leads to the sequence where the vehicle slams into the elevator shaft wall. John McClane fights Lucy Liu's character and kicks her down the elevator shaft, and then the vehicle itself kind of falls down into the elevator shaft and explodes as well, pretty much bringing the demise of Lucy Liu's character within the film. John McClane manages to survive as Justin Long smacks one of the bad guys that's trying to shoot at John McClane from up top, and he falls down the elevator shaft as well. Eventually, Thomas Gabriel, pissed off that John McClane has killed his girlfriend, sends kind of like a gas mixture towards John McClane and Justin Long's character. This prompts them to go downstairs and get into a van, and the explosion pretty much rocks the van into the side of a wall. And this leads to another sequence later on in the film where Timothy Olyphant's character, Thomas Gabriel, redirects traffic in a tunnel sequence, sending cars and stuff tumbling across the streets and everything as they're crashing into each other. And one of the cars takes a tumble and slams into two other cars that Justin Long and Bruce Willis's characters are kind of trapped in between. And they eventually survive, leading Bruce Willis to grab one of the taxi cabs nearby and fling it into a toll booth that there's like a helicopter waiting for them on the other side with the same dude that was chasing after them from before. This guy is waiting with them with an assault rifle, and the vehicle kind of slams into the toll booth, leaping into the air and crashing into the helicopter. And this guy still survives somehow. This leading to a fight with John McClane in sort of like an ice cooling unit. John McClane kicking the parkour guy into the rotors that are below him underneath the catwalk and chopping the guy up. And he makes this funny comment about, Spider-Man calling him Spider-Boy, which I think was pretty funny. This movie is chock full with, insane action sequences like this and insane funny humor. There's lots of interesting dialogue and banter between John McClane and this character named the Warlock, played by Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith being this nerd that has sort of like a gigantic command center, as he calls it, in his basement. So pretty much if the apocalypse happens, Warlock will be able to communicate with anybody in the outside world, and he generally fears for this. This guy is kind of like a gaming nerd as well, so he's like computer monitors stretched pretty much across his wall. And this is probably one of the funniest moments where Kevin Smith's like, "Oh, you a fan of the Fett?" And then Bruce Willis is like, "No, I was always a Star Wars guy." And then Kevin Smith just goes off on him because he doesn't really know a single thing about Star Wars. This movie is really awesome. I want to keep things as vague as possible, and I really think that if you guys are looking for a really cool Die Hard movie, that you guys should definitely go see this film. This is one of my favorite Die Hards in the franchise, and every once in a while I'll come and put this on just because this movie is just fantastic. I think the dialogue, the action sequences, the visual effects for the time that this movie came out were fantastic. I think that if you guys really want a cool action movie, you should definitely check this out. And this movie, I think, definitely did inspire a lot of what happened in Uncharted, because Uncharted has a lot of those insane moments where you see something happening and it leads to other insane things happening. There's this really cool dialogue between Justin Long's character and Bruce Willis where he was pretty much like, "Yeah, fuck being a hero. You know what you get for being a hero." You get a lot of moments where you're eating alone by yourself. You get a lot of moments where your wife doesn't even remember your name. You got a daughter that doesn't really respect you or like you. And this is one of those scenes where I'm like, oh, that's pretty deep. So I would have to give Live Free or Die Hard a B. I know it's called Die Hard 4.0 in other countries and stuff, but I really do think with the action sequences involved that anybody who's a fan of action movies definitely like this movie. This has a little bit of a touch between cyber warfare, which is something that I think is a serious threat that we need to look into. And so I think that whoever wrote this movie did a fantastic job, and they definitely deserve some credit. The director apparently wanted to do something new with the franchise of Die Hard, but at the same time keeping it in the spirit of what John McClane was as a character, which the fifth film botched his character and made me not like the Die Hard franchise. Still, like, my favorite movies are 1, 3, and 4. Die Hard 2 was okay, and then Die Hard 5 was just complete and utter trash. I think I've pretty much touched on my feelings for Die Hard 5 in my previous review. So I would have to give Live Free or Die Hard probably about a B. It's definitely not an A movie. The fact that they changed the hardcore R rating to the PG-13 rating really turned me off as a fan of the franchise. Not enough to where, I hated it, because eventually they came out with the Live Free or Die Hard director's cut on DVD, which it kind of sucks that it's not on Blu-ray, because I would definitely like to check it out on high definition so I could just rewatch that again. But, it's cool to see him say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, towards the end of the scene where he was going to fight and kill Thomas Gabriel. They cheapened that out by not putting in there. I'm like, you could put at least one swear word in a PG-13 movie and get away with it, and that was the scene that they could have gotten away with it. Overall, this is a fantastic movie. I can't give this movie more props, so I definitely think that if this is on Netflix or something, or on any streaming service, or if you can buy this movie, you won't be disappointed by the plot and the action sequences that follow. I know some people give it crap for turning John McClane into sort of a superhero, which I honestly think at parts he's kind of like a superhero, because he survives constant things happening to him that no normal person would be able to survive. But that's kind of what you like about John McClane, is he's dealt with this stuff before, and he always makes it out of it in kind of a unique way, in a way that you're not really expecting. So hope you guys enjoyed this review, and as always, guys, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.